Remember those trusty kitchen tools your grandparents swore by? The ones tucked away in drawers or passed down through generations? Forgotten, but never forgotten. Now, these vintage kitchen items are making a surprising comeback, bringing charm and simplicity back to modern cooking. In 2025, it's all about rediscovering the tools that made everyday cooking feel special again. Cast iron skillets. If the kitchen had royalty, the cast iron skillet would wear the crown. Born out of necessity in pioneer days, this blackened beauty earned its place on open hearth fires long before gas or electric stoves became the norm. Heavy, sturdy, and built to outlast the cook using it, cast iron skillets were more than just cookware. They were heirlooms in the making. Families passed them down through generations, their glossy, seasoned surfaces telling silent stories of cornbread crusts, fried chicken feasts, and Sunday morning pancakes flipped in kitchens that smelled of coffee and bacon. For decades, the skillet was the unassuming workhorse, equally at home crisping potatoes or baking a cobbler. Then came the mid-century shift to lightweight aluminum and flashy non-stick pans, and the cast iron was shoved to the back of cupboards or banished to garage sales. It never truly disappeared, though. Those who knew its worth held onto it, swearing by its even heat, natural non-stick finish, and ability to move from stovetop to oven without blinking. In 2025, cast iron has strutted back into the spotlight, this time riding a wave of old is new kitchen pride. Social media feeds are awash with reels of sizzling steaks in gleaming, well-seasoned skillets, the camera lingering on that dramatic sear. Home cooks are rediscovering what their great-grandparents always knew, that a good skillet isn't just a pan, it's a lifetime investment. Even better, new buyers are scouring flea markets for rusted relics, sanding them back to life, and bragging about their rescue projects like they've just restored a classic car. And here's the kicker. In an era obsessed with convenience, the cast iron skillet thrives precisely because it refuses to be convenient. It demands seasoning, rewards patience, and in return, delivers flavor and texture that no Teflon-coated pan could dream of matching. Every scratch, every darkened layer of seasoning is a badge of honor, a sign of meals made, people fed, and traditions kept alive. In a world where so much feels disposable, the cast iron skillet stands as a defiant, beautiful relic. Only now, it's not just hanging over the hearth, it's racking up likes on Instagram. Mason jars. Few kitchen items have lived such a long and surprisingly glamorous second life as the humble mason jar. Born in the mid-1800s, thanks to John Landis Mason's patented screw-top design, these glass wonders revolutionized home food preservation. Before their arrival, keeping fruits, vegetables, and homemade jams from spoiling was a risky gamble. The airtight seal of a mason jar turned that gamble into a sure thing, allowing families to enjoy the taste of summer peaches or vine-ripened tomatoes in the dead of winter. On farmsteads and in tiny apartment kitchens alike, mason jars stood as a symbol of thrift, practicality, and care. For much of the 20th century, they were synonymous with canning season. Late August, kitchens steamed with boiling water baths as jars of pickles, peaches, and relishes lined countertops like trophies. Each one, labeled in a looping script, was a promise of flavor for colder months ahead. And while they were purely utilitarian in those days, no one could deny their charm. The thick glass, the glint of sunlight through preserved fruit, the satisfying pop of a lid sealing shut. Fast forward to today, and mason jars have evolved from pantry workhorses into bona fide lifestyle accessories. The revival started quietly, with the homesteading and zero-waste movements embracing their reusability. Then coffee shops caught on, offering iced lattes in mason jars, instantly transforming them into the unofficial drinkware of the Instagram age. Overnight, the jar became as likely to hold cold brew or overnight oats as it was to cradle homemade salsa. Now, you'll find them serving as chic vases, rustic cocktail glasses, DIY salad containers, and even storage for everything from buttons to sourdough starter. They've crossed the line from kitchen staple to cultural icon, embraced equally by minimalist urbanites and rural traditionalists. decades. Their enduring appeal lies in their blend of nostalgia and adaptability, proof that a design from over a century ago can still feel fresh in 2025. Some kitchen trends fade faster than you can say avocado toast, but mason jars remain. They connect us to the resourcefulness of the past while fitting seamlessly into modern life. And whether you're preserving a batch of homemade jam or sipping an iced latte, there's a quiet satisfaction in holding history in your hands. Hand crank egg beaters. Before electric mixers became the whirring centerpiece of every modern kitchen, the humble hand crank egg beater ruled the countertop. Invented in the late 1800s, these clever devices turned what was once a laborious task, whipping eggs, cream, or batter, into something quicker, smoother, and far less messy than a whisk alone could manage. With their twin metal beaters, smooth gear mechanism, and satisfyingly solid handle, they look like a cross between a kitchen tool and a miniature machine shop creation. Housewives and home cooks loved them because they saved time, spared sore wrists, and offered consistent results, all without a single plug or battery. In the early to mid-20th century, the hand crank egg beater was as essential as the bread box. Morning pancakes, fluffy omelets, and frosted cakes often began with its rhythmic metallic whirl. The sound itself was part of the kitchen soundtrack, gears clicking in time with the soft scrape of the beaters against a mixing bowl. Children often begged for a turn at the handle, delighted by the illusion of helping with grown-up cooking, though more batter ended up on the counter than in the pan. Then came the post-war appliance boom, and electric mixers swept in, promising speed without effort. The hand crank models retreated to the backs of drawers, kept mostly by those who valued their simplicity, or perhaps forgot they owned one. But in 2025, they've spun their way back into relevance. Off-grid living enthusiasts, camping cooks, and sustainability-minded bakers are rediscovering the beauty of a mixer that needs nothing but your own elbow grease. And for those chasing a slower, more mindful kitchen experience, there's something deeply satisfying about feeling the batter thicken under your own power. Beyond practicality, vintage hand crank egg beaters carry a kind of industrial elegance. The chrome gleams, the gears spin in perfect harmony, and the design, unchanged for decades, proves just how right the original idea was. Plus, they offer the rare bonus of turning breakfast prep into a mini workout, a fact not lost on the modern crowd who loves to combine fitness with everyday life in a kitchen world often obsessed with shortcuts. The hand crank egg beater stands as a charming reminder that sometimes the long way around can be the most rewarding. Pyrex mixing bowls. If kitchens had a comfort object, the Pyrex mixing bowl would be it. First introduced in the 1940s, these sturdy glass bowls quickly became a staple in American homes, prized for their practicality and their surprising beauty. Made from borosilicate glass that could handle both hot and cold without complaint, they were as reliable for mixing cookie dough as they were for serving a salad. But Pyrex didn't stop at function. It arrived in cheerful colors and charming patterns that could brighten even the most modest kitchen. From sunny yellow to robin's egg blue, from snowflake motifs to butterprint farm scenes, these bowls weren't just tools. They were little works of art that lived on the countertop. They became the silent witnesses of everyday life, cradling pancake batter on Saturday mornings, holding potato salad at church picnics, or collecting apple peels during autumn pie-making marathons. Their chip-resistant rims and weighty sturdiness meant they were built to last, often outliving the very kitchens they served in. Many were passed down through families, their colors slightly faded, their glass worn, silky smooth from years of use. By the 1980s, though, the market was flooded with cheaper plastics and stainless steel options, and Pyrex bowls lost some of their everyday spotlight, yet they never truly disappeared. The ones that remained in cupboards or on open shelves kept their quiet charm, and for collectors, hunting down a rare pattern became part treasure hunt, part nostalgia trip. Now, in 2025, Pyrex mixing bowls have stepped back into the limelight, riding the wave of vintage kitchen revival. Social media platforms are dotted with photographs of rainbow-stacked sets, gleaming under soft kitchen light. Younger cooks adore them for their durability and eco-friendliness. Older generations generations cherish them for the memories they stir. And while they're technically breakable, their unbreakable spirit lies in how they've survived decades of use, countless moves, and more than a few overzealous stirs with a wooden spoon. Whether you're using one to whip cream, toss a salad, or simply admire on a shelf, a Pyrex mixing bowl carries with it the warmth of kitchens past and the promise of meals yet to be made. They're proof that some designs never go out of style. They just wait for us to notice them again. Enamelware pots. Long before sleek stainless steel and enameled cast iron became the darlings of designer kitchens, enamelware pots held court on stovetops across the country. Their origins trace back to the 19th century when fusing porcelain to metal created a cooking vessel that was lightweight, rust-resistant, and far easier to clean than bare metal. In farmhouse kitchens, fishing camps, and tiny city apartments, enamelware was the go-to choice for boiling potatoes, heating soups, or simmering stews. Its bright colors and speckled finishes brought cheer to even the most utilitarian of tasks, proving that practical cookware didn't have to be plain. The beauty of enamelware was that it could handle rough use without complaint. Pots went from stovetop to picnic table, from kitchen to campfire, and somehow always found their way back into service. Of course, this hard life meant that chips and scratches were inevitable. Yet those imperfections only added to their charm, each nick telling the story of countless meals shared and memories made. A pot with a worn rim wasn't flawed, it was seasoned with history. By the latter half of the 20th century, enamelware began to lose ground to newer materials and the rise of non-stick coatings. Many pieces were relegated to garage sales or used as decorative planters. But in the 2020s, the tide began to turn. The sustainability movement, paired with the longing for items that feel personal and enduring, has brought enamelware back into the kitchen spotlight. Vintage pots are being cleaned up and put back to work, their chips worn like badges of honor. In 2025, enamelware isn't just surviving, it's thriving. Cooks appreciate that it's lightweight, conducts heat evenly, and looks just as at home holding a batch of soup as it does displaying a bouquet of garden flowers. Collectors hunt for rare patterns and colors, while practical-minded home chefs love that a single pot can serve for cooking, serving, and storing. There's a certain romance in lifting the lid of an enamelware pot, knowing it has been part of countless kitchens before yours. Chipped but charming, it reminds us that perfection isn't the point. Longevity, usefulness, and a touch of beauty are what truly stand the test of time. Mortar and pestle, the original food processor. Long before the whir of electric blades filled our kitchens, the rhythmic grind of a mortar and pestle was the sound of cooking in action. This ancient tool, two simple pieces, a heavy bowl and a solid club, has been around for thousands of years, used by countless cultures to crush, grind, and blend ingredients into something greater than the sum of their parts. From herbs and spices to nuts and grains, the mortar and pestle didn't just prepare food, it transformed it. Civilizations across the globe relied on it for everything, from medicinal powders to fragrant curry pastes, proving that simplicity often yields the most enduring designs. In home kitchens of the past, the mortar and pestle was a daily companion. It coaxed oils from garlic, released the perfume of fresh basil, and turned whole peppercorns into a fine, aromatic dust. There's a tactile pleasure in the process, the weight of the pestle in your hand, the slight resistance of the ingredients, and the subtle change in texture and aroma as you work. Every twist and press feels purposeful, connecting you directly to the food you're making in a way no push-button appliance ever could. As countertop gadgets multiplied in the 20th century, the mortar and pestle quietly faded from everyday use. Food processors and spice grinders promised faster results, and the romance of hand grinding seemed to belong to another era. But now, in 2025, this timeless tool is enjoying a renaissance. Modern cooks, weary of the noise and bulk of electric appliances, are rediscovering the joy of slow, intentional preparation. Chefs champion it for the superior flavor it unlocks, because when you crush rather than chop, you release essential oils and aromas in a way that blades can't replicate. A mortar and pestle doesn't plug in, break down, or go out of style. It requires only your hands, your time, and a little patience, qualities that feel more valuable valuable than ever in our fast-paced world. Whether made from granite, marble, or wood, it's as beautiful on the counter as it is useful in the kitchen. The original food processor, it reminds us that sometimes the oldest tools still make the freshest flavors. Canning equipment. For generations, the gentle symphony of canning season was a sure sign that summer's bounty was being carefully tucked away for colder days. It began with the clink of glass jars, the glug of fruit-laden syrup, and the metallic rattle of funnels and ladles. But the star of the show was always that final, gratifying sound, the sharp ping as the cooling jars sealed tight, a promise that peaches, pickles, or homemade tomato sauce would be just as fresh months from now as they were today. Canning equipment was once a fixture in nearly every home kitchen. Rows of mason jars stood ready, clean and gleaming. Wide-mouth funnels made the transfer from pot to jar neat and efficient, while long-handled tongs carefully lifted steaming jars from boiling water baths. There was nothing fancy about the tools, simple, sturdy, built to last, but they formed the backbone of a ritual that blended thrift, tradition, and the comforting sense of self-reliance. In the mid-20th century, canning was a seasonal event as much social as it was practical. Neighbors might swap recipes, trade jars, or lend extra equipment. Children helped by snapping beans or peeling apples, while the air in the kitchen grew heavy with the scent of sugar, vinegar, and ripe fruit. Every jar that lined the pantry shelves was more than just preserved food. It was a small triumph, proof that you'd managed to capture a little piece of the season. Over time, convenience foods and year-round grocery produce edged canning into the background. Many families put their equipment away, unsure if they'd ever use it again. But in 2025, canning is back, riding the wave of sustainability, home gardening, and a longing for hands-on kitchen skills. Flea markets are bustling with shoppers hunting for vintage jar lifters or enamel canning pots, while modern versions of the same tools are selling out online. Today's canners embrace both tradition and innovation, combining grandma's well-worn jars with new silicone funnels or stainless steel tongs. Still, the essence hasn't changed. Whether you're filling jars with spicy pickles or sweet strawberry jam, the process is as satisfying. Butcher block counters, there's something unmistakably warm about a kitchen with a butcher block counter. Unlike the cold polish of granite or the sleek perfection of quartz, butcher block invites touch. Made from thick slabs of hardwood, often maple, oak, or walnut, it carries a quiet beauty that comes from being both functional and forgiving. For over a century, it's been the choice of serious cooks and humble home kitchens alike. A surface sturdy enough for chopping vegetables, kneading bread, or rolling out pie dough without the need for a cutting board. In their early days, butcher block counters were exactly what the name implies, the working surface of butchers and meat cutters. They could withstand cleavers, knives, and endless pounding without flinching. Over time, that same practicality made its way into home kitchens, where it blended utility with a certain rustic charm. Families found that the more the surface was used, the more character it developed. Tiny knife marks, faint stains from berries or wine, and the soft patina of years of cooking. Each imperfection was a record of meals prepared, holidays celebrated, and everyday moments spent around the counter. The mid to late 20th century saw the rise of synthetic countertops, prized for being maintenance-free. But in losing the upkeep, something else was lost too, the sense that a kitchen surface could have a life of its own. Butcher block requires care, regular oiling, gentle cleaning, and a willingness to embrace its evolving appearance. And that's exactly why it's making a strong comeback in 2025. In an era when people crave authenticity and connection to their homes, butcher block offers both. Modern kitchens are rediscovering how adaptable it is. It suits farmhouse, cottage, and even contemporary designs, pairing just as easily with stainless steel appliances as with vintage enamel stoves. Whether you're slicing fresh bread or simply resting your elbows with a cup of coffee, the wood feels grounded and familiar, almost like an old friend. A butcher block counter isn't just a workspace, it's a living history of your kitchen. Every scratch and scuff has a story, and instead of hiding them, the surface wears them proudly. Over Over time, it becomes not just part of your kitchen, but part of your family's story. Flour sifters. There's a certain quiet magic in the simple act of sifting flour. Before electric mixers and pre-sifted blends, every baker knew that the secret to a tender cake or a cloud-like sponge began with a flour sifter. These humble devices, usually a metal canister with a mesh bottom and a crank or squeeze handle, were a staple in mid-century kitchens. Pour in the flour, turn the handle, and watch as it falls in a soft, airy drift like the first snow of winter, settling into the mixing bowl below. It wasn't just preparation, it was a small, satisfying ritual. Flour sifters did more than just create pretty clouds. They broke up clumps, aerated the flour, and ensured that baking powder, cocoa, or spices were evenly distributed. In an era when flour came straight from the mill and could be slightly uneven in texture, this step made a real difference in the final result. The rhythmic click of the crank became part of the kitchen's soundtrack, a gentle counterpoint to the hum of conversation or the clatter of measuring cups. For many, the sifter's charm was as much about the process as the result. Children loved to take a turn watching the flour cascade through the mesh like magic dust. And while sifting could be a bit messy, flour had a knack for floating exactly where you didn't want it. There was something undeniably joyful about those soft white clouds settling into a bowl, ready to become cake, cookies, or bread. As baking shortcuts and pre-packaged mixes took over, sifters slipped quietly to the backs of cupboards, replaced by whisks or skipped altogether. But in 2025, they're enjoying a gentle revival. Home bakers are rediscovering that sifting isn't just tradition. It genuinely improves texture, especially in delicate cakes or pastries. Vintage sifters, with their faded measurements and worn wooden handles, are once again being pulled out and put to use, often doubling as charming countertop decor. There's something grounding in that slow manual motion, the soft hiss of flour through mesh. In a world rushing toward convenience, the flour sifter reminds us to pause, embrace the mess, and enjoy the tiny snowstorm that starts every great cake. Ceramic butter. Long before refrigerators became a standard kitchen fixture, clever cooks found ways to keep perishable foods fresh without the chill of ice or electricity. Among the most charming of these inventions was the ceramic butter bell, a simple yet ingenious vessel designed to keep butter soft, spreadable, and safe at room temperature. Originating in France in the late 19th century, its design was as elegant as it was practical. A small crock with a lid shaped like an inverted cup. The lid was packed with butter, then inverted into the crock, which was partially filled with water. This created an airtight seal that kept oxygen and spoilage at bay. In farmhouse kitchens and cozy cottages, butter bells sat right on the counter, ready to be dipped into for spreading on warm bread or stirring into vegetables. No waiting for cold butter to soften. No frustration as toast tore under the pressure of a too hard pat. It was an everyday luxury, born out of necessity, that blended function and beauty. The ceramic surfaces often bore hand-painted designs or simple glazes, turning a purely practical item into something that also brightened the table. As refrigeration became widespread in the mid-20th century, butter bells quietly fell out of daily use. Butter was stored in the fridge by default, even if it meant sacrificing spreadability. Yet the charm and usefulness of the butter bell never truly disappeared. Many were kept as heirlooms, displayed as quaint reminders of old-fashioned kitchens. Now, in 2025, they're making a comeback. Part of the revival stems from the slow food movement and a growing appreciation for well-crafted, reusable kitchenware. People are rediscovering the joy of having perfectly spreadable butter at all times, especially those who bake bread at home or savor a leisurely breakfast. Modern butter bells come in a rainbow of styles, from minimalist matte finishes to whimsical hand-thrown pottery, but the concept remains unchanged. There's a certain pleasure in lifting the lid, seeing the butter perfectly preserved beneath, and knowing you're using a method that's worked for over a century. In a kitchen full of gadgets and electronics, the ceramic butter bell stands as a quiet, beautiful reminder that sometimes the simplest solutions are still the best. Cut Cut glass pitchers. There was a time when even the most ordinary drinks were given a touch of ceremony, and the cut glass pitcher was the star of that ritual. Heavy in the hand and sparkling in the light, these pitchers transformed a humble jug of iced tea or lemonade into something worthy of a Sunday table. The intricate patterns, starbursts, diamonds, and fans caught the sunlight in a way that made even tap water look like a fine vintage. They weren't just vessels, they were showpieces, a little bit of glamour that could live right in the middle of a kitchen table. In mid-century households, cut glass pitchers were often brought out for company, paired with matching tumblers or set alongside platters of sandwiches and slices of cake. They were a staple at holiday dinners, baby showers, and church socials, standing proudly amid the spread. The weight of the glass gave them a sense of permanence, and the careful craftsmanship meant they could survive decades of use, often becoming family heirlooms. Many were gifted for weddings or anniversaries, treasured as symbols of hospitality and care. The appeal wasn't just visual. The thickness of the glass kept drinks cooler for longer, and the wide mouths made them easy to fill with ice and fruit slices. Pouring from one felt intentional. No plastic jug wobbling in your hands, no sweating paper carton on the table. A cut glass pitcher announced that the host had gone the extra step to make things feel special, even if all it held was sweet tea. Over time, as casual dining took over and dishwasher-safe plastics dominated, cut glass pitchers slipped quietly to the back of china cabinets. Some gathered dust, others ended up in thrift shops, their sparkle hidden under years of neglect. But in 2025, they're gleaming again. Vintage lovers are rescuing them from flea markets, and modern hosts are rediscovering the way they elevate any table setting. There's something undeniably satisfying about filling a cut glass pitcher, hearing the ice clink against its sides, and watching the light refract through the drink. It's proof that presentation matters, and that even everyday refreshment can be an occasion when poured from something this beautiful. Lazy Susans. In the grand theater of family meals, few inventions have been as quietly revolutionary as the Lazy Susan. This simple rotating tray, usually set at the center of the table, turned dining into a fair and efficient affair. No more shouting down the table for the salt, no more awkwardly reaching over someone's plate for the gravy boat. With a gentle spin, everything came within arm's reach, making it as democratic a dining tool as you could hope for. Everyone got a turn, and no dish played favorites. Though its exact origins are debated, some tracing it back to 18th century England, others to Chinese banquet traditions, the Lazy Susan truly came into its own in mid-century America. It found a home on round dining tables, where roast beef platters, bowls of mashed potatoes, and pitchers of iced tea could all be shared with a simple flick of the wrist. In Chinese restaurants, it became an indispensable part of communal dining, allowing steaming baskets of dumplings and fragrant stir-fried dishes to circulate effortlessly among guests. The charm of the Lazy Susan wasn't just in its practicality. It encouraged a certain kind of togetherness. Meals became a shared experience rather than a series of individual plates. There was something delightful in watching the carousel of dishes make its way around, deciding whether to take another spoonful of green beans or wait for the pie to come back around. By the 1980s, as dining habits shifted and formal sit-down meals became less frequent, the Lazy Susan lost some of its prominence. Many were relegated to kitchen cabinets or repurposed as spice racks. Yet, in 2025, they're enjoying a revival, both in homes and restaurants. Modern versions range from sleek bamboo and marble to vintage wooden models rescued from thrift shops. Part of their resurgence comes from the renewed interest in family-style meals and social dining. The Lazy Susan is more than a table accessory. It's a facilitator of conversation, a subtle reminder that meals are meant to be shared. Spin it once and you'll find more than just food traveling across the table. You'll find laughter, stories, and a small slice of dining history making the rounds again. Deviled egg trays. In the hierarchy of party foods, deviled eggs have always held a special place, and their loyal sidekick, the deviled egg tray, made sure they arrived in style. These molded platters, often glass, ceramic, or even brightly colored plastic, were designed with neat little oval depressions, each perfectly cradling a halved egg topped with its swirl of creamy, paprika-dusted filling. They weren't just serving pieces. They were a quiet promise that someone had gone to the the trouble of making a dish that would disappear in minutes. Deviled egg trays first gained popularity in mid-century America when cocktail parties, potlucks, and holiday spreads demanded dishes that were both attractive and functional. Without them, transporting deviled eggs was a precarious balancing act, with the risk of yolk filling smearing or eggs sliding out of place. The tray solved that problem with elegant efficiency, keeping each egg secure while presenting them like little jewels arranged in a circle. The designs ranged from the purely practical to the downright fancy. Clear glass versions caught the light beautifully, while colored glass or ceramic trays often doubled as table decor. Some were shaped like flowers, radiating petals of eggs outward from a central well that might hold olives, pickles, or even more filling for refills. Every family seemed to have one, tucked into a cupboard and brought out for every major gathering. By the 1980s and 1990s, as entertaining became more casual and store-bought appetizers crept in, deviled egg trays saw less action. Yet they never completely disappeared. Too many grandmothers knew their worth, and too many guests still made a beeline for those perfect little bites. In 2025, they're back in full force, thanks to a renewed love for retro recipes and vintage serveware. Social media feeds brim with inventive deviled egg variations, spicy sriracha, avocado lime, smoked salmon, displayed proudly on trays rescued from thrift stores or inherited from family kitchens. There's something deeply satisfying about setting one down at a party, watching eyes light up, and knowing the tray will return empty. The deviled egg tray remains the unsung hero of gatherings, dependable, charming, and proof that presentation can make a good thing even better. Tiered dessert stands. Few serving pieces manage to combine practicality and charm, quite like the tiered dessert stand. Whether it's 3 graceful levels of gleaming porcelain or a rustic tower of wooden plates, this vertical display instantly transforms any spread into something worthy of admiration. From the moment it's set on the table, it whispers of elegance, no matter if it's holding delicate cucumber sandwiches for afternoon tea or a colorful assortment of cupcakes at a birthday party. The origins of tiered stands trace back to Victorian England, where afternoon tea was as much about presentation as it was about refreshment. Stacking sweets and savories in ascending order wasn't just a clever use of space, it was a way to guide the guest's eye and appetite, inviting them to start at the bottom and work their way up to the crowning delights. By the mid-20th century, these stands had crossed the Atlantic, becoming staples at bridal showers, church luncheons, and holiday gatherings in America. Their genius lies in their ability to maximize table space while making even the simplest offerings look special. A handful of cookies or sandwiches, when arranged on a tiered stand, suddenly feels like part of a grand occasion. They encourage a leisurely kind of dining where guests help themselves at a comfortable pace, pausing to admire the display before making their selection. Though they faded somewhat in the age of disposable partyware and buffet tables laden with single-use platters, tiered stands never fully vanished. In 2025, they're enjoying a renaissance thanks to a renewed interest in home entertaining, vintage aesthetics, and sustainable serving pieces. Modern versions can be found in sleek metals, colorful ceramics, or even clear acrylic for a contemporary twist, while antique markets and thrift shops offer ornate, old-world options that make any gathering feel like a special event. Bringing out a tiered dessert stand today is more than a nod to tradition. It's an invitation to slow down and savor. Whether it's balancing chocolate truffles and macarons or cucumber sandwiches and scones, it turns an ordinary table into a centerpiece of conversation and delight. In a world where presentation still matters, the tiered dessert stand proves that a little height goes a long way. Vintage table linens. There's something quietly dignified about a table dressed in vintage linens. Whether it's a crisp white damask cloth, a hand-embroidered runner, or pastel napkins edged with delicate crochet, these pieces carry a grace that transcends decades. They're not just fabric, they're the backdrop for meals, conversations, and celebrations, holding the soft patina of use that tells stories without words. Spread one across a table, and even the most casual gathering takes on a touch of ceremony. ceremony. Vintage table linens have their roots in an era when setting the table was an act of care. In the early to mid-20th century, many women made or received embroidered cloths and napkins as part of their hope chests, carefully stitched with floral motifs, initials, or decorative borders. These linens often took hours, even days, to complete, and they weren't just meant for special occasions, they were part of everyday life. Meals were a time to slow down, and the table reflected that intentionality. By the 1970s and 80s, disposable paper goods began to edge out these heirloom textiles. Convenience took precedence over tradition, and many of these linens were tucked into cedar chests or passed quietly through estate sales. Yet in 2025, they're making a comeback, not out of necessity, but out of a renewed appreciation for craftsmanship and sustainability. Part of the appeal lies in their enduring quality. Made from cotton, linen, or blends meant to withstand years of laundering, these pieces have outlasted countless style shifts. Their embroidery, whether neat and precise or charmingly imperfect, speaks of human hands at work, a far cry from mass-produced prints. In a time when many are seeking to reduce waste and bring authenticity into their homes, vintage linens fit effortlessly into the picture. Bringing them back into use can be as simple as layering a floral cloth over a plain table or folding embroidered napkins beside mismatched plates for an eclectic yet elegant look. They pair beautifully with both rustic and modern settings, proving their versatility. And perhaps best of all, every time they're unfolded, they connect us to the generations who dined before us. People who understood that beauty at the table isn't about following trends, but about creating moments worth remembering. Cake carriers.
And Ralph, today we're going to take a vintage housewares tour, and we're going to look at cake carriers.
There's a special kind of trust baked into a cake carrier. These humble containers, designed to protect cakes during transport, have saved countless desserts from disaster on the way to potlucks, birthday parties, and bake sales. With their sturdy bases, secure lids, and often convenient handles, cake carriers make the journey from kitchen to table almost effortless, ensuring that layers remain stacked, frosting stays intact, and crumbs don't escape along the way. Cake carriers became popular in mid-20th century America when community gatherings and school bake sales were at their peak. No longer was it acceptable to wrap a cake in foil or balance it on a flimsy cardboard tray. The carrier was a reliable promise that your homemade treat would arrive looking just as delicious as when it left your countertop. For many families, it became an essential kitchen item, passed down like a badge of baking honor. Their designs ranged from simple plastic boxes to charming vintage tins adorned with cheerful patterns. Some even featured cake stands built into their lids, doubling as display pieces once the lid was removed. The ease of carrying cakes encouraged home bakers to experiment with layered creations and more intricate frostings, knowing their hard work wouldn't be ruined by a bumpy ride or sudden stop. While modern disposable cake boxes and online cake delivery services have taken some of the shine away from traditional carriers, the classic cake carrier remains beloved for its practicality and nostalgia. In 2025, they're enjoying renewed popularity among home bakers and small business entrepreneurs who appreciate the eco-friendly reusability and the reassurance of a sturdy container. Bringing a cake carrier to a bake sale is more than just a practical decision. It's a statement of care and respect for the art of baking. It says that the cake inside matters, that it deserves to be handled with attention and pride. Whether it's a frosted chocolate layer cake, a batch of cupcakes, or a delicate cheesecake, the cake carrier ensures it travels safely, arriving ready to delight and impress. In the world of baked goods, it's the unsung hero that keeps the party sweet and the smiles wide. Silver serving spoons. Silver serving spoons carry a kind of quiet dignity, even when their once bright surfaces have dulled with tarnish. These utensils are more than just tools for dishing out food. They are heirlooms, conversation starters, and tangible links to family gatherings of the past. Often handed down through generations, silver spoons bear the marks of countless dinners, holiday feasts, and special occasions, each patina telling its own story. story. In decades past, owning a set of silver serving spoons was a point of pride. Polished to a mirror shine, they grace the table alongside fine china and crystal, their gleam signaling an event worth celebrating. Their weight in the hand, the intricate engravings on the handle, and the gentle clink as they moved from platter to plate made every meal feel elevated. They were symbols of hospitality and care, often brought out only when the family gathered for the holidays or a formal dinner. Over time, silver tarnishes, a natural reaction to air and moisture, and many might see this as a flaw. But for lovers of vintage silverware, the tarnish is part of the charm, a reminder that these spoons have lived through decades of use and have earned their character. Restoring the shine is an option, but many choose to embrace the warm, muted glow of aged silver, appreciating how it reflects the history embedded in the metal. In 2025, silver serving spoons are enjoying a renewed appreciation. Vintage and antique markets are bustling with shoppers searching for unique pieces that bring authenticity to their tables. While stainless steel dominates everyday utensils, silver spoons are prized for their elegance and the tactile pleasure they bring. Whether used for serving mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, or delicate pastries, these spoons make even simple dishes feel special. Tarnished or polished, silver serving spoons remind us that beauty often lies in imperfection and history. They are more than just utensils. They are storytellers, holding memories of meals shared, laughter echoed, and traditions kept alive. In every gleam and shadow, they connect past to present, inviting us to slow down and savor not just the food, but the moments around the table. Soup tureens.
Okay, and I also have this soup tureen. There's plates that match it as well that I've showcased before, but I just think the soup tureen is beautiful. So I'm going to add this to one side.
There's something undeniably theatrical about a soup tureen making its way to the table. With its grand, often ornate design, a soup tureen turns even the simplest bowl of chicken noodle into a moment of ceremony. These elegant vessels, crafted from fine china, porcelain, or gleaming silver, were once the centerpiece of formal dinners, their lids lifted with a flourish to reveal steaming, fragrant broth bubbling just beneath. Soup tureens have a long history dating back centuries, evolving from practical serving pots into decorative showpieces that embodied hospitality and refinement. In Victorian and early 20th century homes, they were the star of multi-course meals, signaling the start of an experience that was both nourishing and social. Even humble soups gained a new level of dignity when presented from a tureen, inviting guests to pause and appreciate the care poured into the meal. Beyond their beauty, tureens were practical too. Their large capacity meant families could serve generous portions, while the covered design kept soup hot throughout the meal. The matching ladle, often ornately decorated, added to the elegance, allowing for ladling with grace and precision. Placing a soup tureen at the center of the table encouraged shared dining, fostering conversation as bowls were filled and refilled. Though everyday dining has shifted towards casual convenience and many kitchens no longer have room for bulky tureens, these pieces have not lost their charm. In 2025, soup tureens are making a comeback, especially among those who appreciate vintage aesthetics or love to entertain with style. Antique stores and family collections bring tureens back to life, and modern ceramic and glass designs offer updated takes on the classic form. Using a soup tureen today is more than about serving soup. It's about creating an atmosphere. It's the grand entrance that elevates a humble chicken noodle soup into a shared ritual of warmth and comfort. It reminds us that even the simplest dishes deserve a bit of pageantry, and that sometimes how we serve food is just as important as what's on the plate. Condiment cruets.
This vintage condiment set is a mid-century modern piece.
Condiment cruets have long transformed the humble act of seasoning into a small ceremony of style and elegance. These slender glass bottles with delicate pour spouts and often decorative stoppers have graced dining dining tables since the 18th century, offering an elevated way to serve everyday essentials like vinegar and oil. Far from just functional vessels, cruets bring a touch of refinement to salads, bread baskets, and sauces, dressing the table as carefully as the contents inside dress a meal. In the mid-20th century, condiment cruets were a staple in homes that prized both form and function. Made from cut glass or etched crystal, many were sold in matching sets, sometimes accompanied by a wooden or metal stand. They invited diners to customize their plates with a drizzle here or a dash there, encouraging a slow, deliberate approach to seasoning that celebrated the flavors rather than masking them. The clink of glass bottles and the gleam of light bouncing off their faceted sides added a subtle sparkle to the table setting, reminding guests that even simple ingredients deserved beautiful presentation. While modern kitchens often rely on plastic bottles or built-in dispensers, the charm and craftsmanship of vintage condiment cruets have never truly disappeared. In 2025, they're experiencing a resurgence, fueled by a nostalgia for artisanal dining experiences and a desire to bring tactile beauty back into everyday meals. Vintage cruets are prized finds at antique shops, and contemporary makers often craft new versions inspired by the elegance of the past. Using a cruet today is about more than just oil and vinegar. It's a nod to tradition and a celebration of care. It's the pleasure of holding a cool glass bottle, gently tipping it to release just the right amount of dressing, and admiring how the golden oil swirls before settling. Condiment cruets remind us that seasoning is an art, and that the vessels we choose to hold our essentials can elevate a meal from ordinary to memorable. In the dance of dining, these graceful bottles truly are dressed for the ball. Tea cozies.
Today I'm going to teach you how to make this adorable teapot cozy. So cute and so simple.
Tea cozies are more than just charming accessories. They are warm hugs for teapots, designed to keep a freshly brewed pot of tea cozy and hot for longer. Originating in Britain during the early 19th century, these fabric covers became essential in homes where afternoon tea was a beloved ritual. A tea cozy might seem simple, but its purpose is ingenious: to trap heat and preserve the delicate warmth of tea, ensuring each cup is as inviting as the first. Hand-knitted or sewn from quilted fabrics, tea cozies come with a personality all their own. Some are traditional, decorated with floral embroidery or lace trims, while others display whimsical designs, bright colors, playful patterns, or even humorous shapes like animals or famous characters. They are as much about style as function, adding a splash of warmth and charm to any kitchen or tea table. During the mid-20th century, tea cozies were staples in households where tea was more than just a beverage. It was an event, a chance to slow down and connect. Making or gifting a tea cozy was a gesture of care and creativity, often passed down through generations or crafted for special occasions. The cozy's soft embrace was a quiet companion to hours of conversation, knitting circles, or a quiet afternoon alone with a good book. Though electric kettles and insulated pots have changed tea-making habits, tea cozies have never gone out of style completely. In 2025, they're enjoying a revival among enthusiasts who cherish slow living and vintage aesthetics. Knitters and crafters share patterns online, while vintage shops are filled with lovingly preserved examples that show off the handiwork of past generations. More than just practical covers, tea cozies are a symbol of comfort and tradition. They remind us that even the smallest details in our daily rituals can carry warmth, both literally and figuratively. A knitted tea cozy isn't just protecting a teapot, it's wrapping a moment in softness, personality, and a touch of nostalgia. Hand crank coffee grinders.
Today we're going to talk about this. It's a hand grinder from a company called King Grinder.
Long before the hum of electric grinders and the push of a button, mornings began with the gentle rhythm of a hand-crank coffee grinder. These mechanical marvels, often crafted from wood and metal with intricate designs, transformed the simple act of grinding coffee beans into a meditative ritual. Turning the crank required patience and presence, setting the tone for a slow, intentional start to the day. Hand crank grinders date back to the 19th century and quickly became a kitchen essential essential for coffee lovers who prized freshness. Unlike pre-ground coffee, freshly ground beans release vibrant aromas and complex flavors, and the hand grinder made this possible in the home long before the convenience of electric appliances. The sound of beans cracking and the tactile feedback of the burrs breaking the beans created a sensory experience that grounded morning routines in more than just caffeine. In mid-century kitchens, these grinders were often passed down through families, treasured for their durability and timeless design. Whether mounted on a wall or standing alone on a countertop, their sturdy build and classic charm made them a familiar sight. They were not just tools, but pieces of craftsmanship that invited the user to slow down and appreciate the process of making coffee from bean to cup. With the rise of electric grinders and instant coffee, hand crank models became more of a nostalgic keepsake or decorative item. Yet in 2025, they're experiencing a resurgence among coffee aficionados and those seeking mindfulness in daily routines. The manual grinder offers a tactile connection to the morning ritual, allowing people to engage fully with the process, from selecting beans to brewing the perfect cup. Using a hand crank grinder today is about more than just freshness. It's about reclaiming a moment of calm in a hectic world. Each turn of the handle is a small act of zen, a reminder that the best things in life often require patience and care. Before the first sip, the hand crank grinder invites us to slow down, breathe in the aroma, and savor the anticipation of the day ahead. Jelly molds. Jelly molds have a way of turning dessert into a playful work of art. These intricate, often colorful molds, made of metal, glass, or plastic, were once a staple of mid-20th century kitchens, transforming simple gelatin into dazzling sculptural creations. With their fluted edges, floral motifs, and geometric patterns, jelly molds added flair to dinner parties and holiday tables, making desserts as visually delightful as they were sweet. In an era when gelatin desserts were all the rage, the jelly mold was a kitchen must-have. Home cooks poured flavored gelatin mixtures into these molds and then chilled them until firm, unveiling shapes that resembled flowers, stars, or even castles. Sometimes layered with fruits, creams, or even savory ingredients, molded gelatin was as versatile as it was decorative. These molded delights were centerpieces, colorful, wobbly, and unmistakably retro, that invited curiosity and conversation. Jelly molds carried a whimsical charm that matched the optimism of the post-war era. They were accessible yet impressive, allowing everyday cooks to create show-stopping desserts without hours of fuss. The ritual of filling and unmolding became part of the fun, and the sight of a gleaming gelatin sculpture was a guaranteed crowd pleaser. Though gelatin desserts faded from popularity with the rise of lighter, fresher options and health-conscious trends, jelly molds never disappeared entirely. In 2025, they are making a stylish comeback, embraced by those who love nostalgic recipes and enjoy creative plating. Artisanal cooks and Instagram foodies alike are rediscovering the joy of sculptural desserts, using jelly molds to craft modern takes on vintage classics, sometimes experimenting with agar or panna cotta for new textures and flavors. Jelly molds today celebrate more than just dessert. They celebrate playfulness, artistry, and the joy of creating something beautiful that also tastes delicious. They remind us that the way food looks matters, and that even the simplest ingredients can become something spectacular with a little imagination and the right mold. Rolling pins, solid wood. A solid wood rolling pin is one of those timeless kitchen tools that feels like an extension of the hand, carrying generations of cooking tradition in its smooth, sturdy form. Crafted from dense hardwoods like maple, cherry, or beech, these rolling pins offer durability and reliability that modern plastic or silicone versions simply can't match. With proper care, a solid wood rolling pin can last a lifetime, sometimes even becoming a cherished family heirloom passed down through generations. Before the advent of non-stick coatings and mass-produced kitchen gadgets, the wooden rolling pin was the workhorse of countless kitchens. From rolling out pie dough and biscuits to flattening pasta and pastries, it was indispensable. Its Its weight and smooth surface made it perfectly suited for evenly pressing and shaping dough without sticking or tearing. Many cooks swear by the natural warmth and slight grip of wood, which helps control the dough better than colder, slicker materials. The beauty of a solid wood rolling pin is both practical and aesthetic. Over time, it develops a patina from flour, dough, and oils absorbed through use, adding character to its appearance and a sense of history to every bake. Unlike its plastic counterparts, wood is naturally biodegradable and sustainable, making it a choice for those who want durable tools that also honor the environment. In 2025, solid wood rolling pins are experiencing a resurgence among home bakers and culinary professionals alike. The renewed interest in traditional baking methods and high-quality kitchen tools has put wooden rolling pins back on work surfaces everywhere. Artisans craft beautifully simple versions, some even personalized with hand-carved handles or custom finishes, blending function and form seamlessly. Owning a solid wood rolling pin isn't just about having the right tool. It's about investing in something that supports your craft for decades. With care, it can become a lifetime companion in the kitchen, helping create everything from flaky pie crusts to perfect cookies. A solid wood rolling pin is more than a tool. It's a lasting promise of quality and tradition, rolled right into your baking. Ice cream makers, manual. Before the convenience of electric freezers and store-bought tubs, homemade ice cream was a labor of love, and the manual ice cream maker was the essential kitchen companion for every sweet tooth. These hand-cranked machines transformed simple ingredients, cream, sugar, and flavorings into rich, creamy desserts through a rhythmic, hands-on process. The gentle turning of the crank was both exercise and meditation, inviting patience and anticipation as the mixture slowly transformed into frozen delight. Manual ice cream makers typically featured a hand crank attached to a wooden or metal bucket filled with ice and salt. Inside, a metal canister held the ice cream base, which churned steadily as the crank turned. This churning was crucial. It incorporated air and prevented large ice crystals from forming, resulting in a smooth, velvety texture that store-bought versions often struggle to replicate. The process could take 20-30 minutes or more, depending on weather and ingredients, making each batch feel like a small victory. In mid-20th century America, homemade ice cream was a beloved tradition, especially in summer months. Families gathered on front porches or backyards, taking turns cranking while sharing stories and laughter. The ritual brought people together, creating memories that went far beyond the dessert itself. It was a way to slow down, savor the moment, and enjoy something made by hand. Though electric machines and ready-made ice cream have largely replaced manual makers, they've never truly gone out of style. In 2025, manual ice cream makers are enjoying a revival, embraced by foodies, DIY enthusiasts, and those eager to reconnect with traditional cooking methods. Their appeal lies in the tactile engagement and the control over ingredients, allowing for endless flavor creativity without preservatives or additives. Cranking your own ice cream today is more than a kitchen task. It's a celebration of craft and patience. Each turn of the handle is a step closer to homemade perfection, reminding us that the sweetest desserts are often the ones made with care, effort, and a little muscle. Egg coddlers. Egg coddlers offer a charming and elegant way to prepare and enjoy eggs, turning a simple breakfast staple into a refined ritual. These small porcelain jars, often adorned with delicate patterns or pastel colors, were popular in British kitchens from the Victorian era through the mid-20th century. Designed to gently cook eggs in a water bath, egg coddlers combine convenience with a touch of sophistication, allowing cooks to create creamy, custard-like eggs without fuss or mess. Using an egg coddler is a straightforward yet graceful process. Crack an egg or two into the porcelain vessel, add a dash of cream, seasoning, or herbs, then screw on the lid tightly. The coddler is placed in simmering water, where it gently cooks the egg to a silky texture. This method preserves the egg's delicate flavors and yields a soft, tender result that's hard to replicate by traditional frying or boiling. Egg coddlers were beloved for their elegance and versatility. Whether used for a quiet weekday breakfast or an indulgent weekend treat, they elevated the humble egg to something special. Their porcelain craftsmanship made them attractive enough to be served directly at the table, adding a decorative touch alongside fine china and silverware. Many families treasured their egg coddlers, often passing them down through generations as keepsakes of morning rituals and leisurely meals shared. Though modern kitchens often favor quick, hands-off egg preparation methods, egg coddlers have experienced a resurgence in 2025 among those who appreciate slow cooking and vintage charm. Culinary enthusiasts enjoy experimenting with flavors, adding cheese, smoked salmon, or fresh herbs, and delight in the interactive, hands-on aspect of cooking eggs this way. Beyond function, egg coddlers symbolize a return to mindful eating and presentation. They remind us that breakfast, often rushed and overlooked, can be a moment of simple luxury. The porcelain jar, with its history and delicate design, invites us to slow down, savor the texture and flavor, and start the day with elegance and care. Soda siphons. Soda siphons bring a splash of vintage glamour and effervescent fun to any kitchen or bar. Popular from the late 19th century through the mid-20th century, these elegant devices allowed people to carbonate water at home, creating sparkling soda water on demand. With their sleek metal bodies, often chrome-plated or enamel-coated, and their distinctive lever or button, soda siphons combined practicality with style, making homemade fizz both accessible and fashionable. Before the era of bottled sodas and mass-produced sparkling waters, soda siphons were a staple in many households. They offered a way to enjoy refreshing carbonated drinks without the hassle of buying bulky bottles or risking flat soda. Filling the siphon with water, charging it with a small carbon dioxide cartridge, and pressing the lever released a stream of bubbly water, perfect for mixing cocktails, diluting cordials, or simply drinking on its own. The rhythmic hiss and burst of bubbles became a familiar and welcome sound in kitchens and social gatherings. Soda siphons were especially beloved during the cocktail boom of the early 20th century. Classic drinks like the Gin Fizz or the Tom Collins relied on freshly carbonated water to achieve their signature sparkle and texture. The siphon's sleek design also made it a centerpiece on home bars, signaling sophistication and an understanding of the art of mixology. Though their popularity waned with the rise of convenient bottled sodas and seltzers, soda siphons never disappeared entirely. In 2025, they're enjoying a stylish resurgence among cocktail enthusiasts, zero-waste advocates, and lovers of retro aesthetics. Modern siphons, often inspired by vintage designs but crafted with updated materials, offer an eco-friendly way to reduce plastic waste while adding flair to beverage preparation. Using a soda siphon today is more than just about fizz. It's about reclaiming a tactile, interactive experience in drink making. It's the joy of creating sparkling water on demand, of watching bubbles dance, and of serving drinks with a touch of old-world elegance. Soda siphons remind us that sometimes the simplest pleasures come with a satisfying hiss and a sparkle. Butter churns. Butter churns evoke a deep sense of tradition and craftsmanship, reminding us of a time when food was made slowly, with hands-on care and patience. These devices, ranging from simple wooden paddles to ornate barrel-style churns, were once essential in every farmhouse kitchen, turning fresh cream into rich, creamy butter through a rhythmic, labor-intensive process. Today, as artisanal and homemade foods surge in popularity, butter churns have made a charming comeback, symbolizing a return to authenticity and connection with the food we eat. Churning butter is an age-old practice that predates modern refrigeration and mass production. Before store-bought butter became ubiquitous, families relied on churns to transform milk's fatty cream into a versatile cooking staple. The process required dedication, turning the churn's handle or moving the plunger up and down steadily until the cream thickened and separated into butter and buttermilk. This physical involvement connected people intimately to their food, making the reward of fresh butter taste all the sweeter. Butter churns come in many styles: tall wooden barrels with crank tank handles, small ceramic crocks with plungers, or even handheld paddle models. Their rustic aesthetic appeals to those who enjoy vintage kitchenware and appreciate the tactile satisfaction of making something from scratch. As more people seek to reduce food waste, control ingredients, and celebrate traditional methods, butter churning offers a hands-on, rewarding experience. In 2025, butter churns are popular among food artisans, homesteaders, and anyone passionate about slow food. Workshops and community farms often include butter churning demonstrations, and many home cooks embrace the process as a relaxing, meditative task that results in a delicious, preservative-free product. The rise of artisanal butter varieties, flavored with herbs, spices, or sea salt, also pairs perfectly with this homemade approach. Using a butter churn today is about more than just butter. It's a statement about valuing heritage, craft, and flavor. It's an invitation to slow down, engage with food in a meaningful way, and savor these simple pleasures of a truly handcrafted kitchen staple. Meat grinders, clamp-on. Clamp-on meat grinders have long been the tool of choice for home cooks who prefer to take control of their meat preparation. These sturdy devices, designed to attach securely to a countertop or table edge, allow users to grind their own cuts of beef, pork, poultry, or even game, ensuring quality and transparency in every meal. By eliminating mystery meat from the equation, clamp-on grinders empower people to know exactly what goes into their dishes, making them a trusted kitchen companion for generations. Before pre-packaged ground meat dominated grocery aisles, clamp-on grinders were a common fixture in home kitchens. Their manual crank design meant the grinding process required some elbow grease, but it also gave cooks the satisfaction of transforming whole cuts into fresh ground meat tailored to their recipes. Whether making burgers, sausages, meatballs, or pâtés, these grinders delivered control over texture and freshness that store-bought products often lacked. The simplicity and durability of clamp-on grinders made them popular throughout the 20th century. Made mostly from cast iron with stainless steel blades, they were built to last and could be easily disassembled for cleaning. Their clamp feature meant no bulky stands or permanent kitchen space were necessary, just a firm surface and a bit of muscle. Many families passed their grinders down through generations, valuing both the function and the connection to home cooking traditions. In 2025, clamp-on meat grinders are seeing a resurgence as more people prioritize sustainable and ethical eating habits. Grinding your own meat means choosing better cuts, reducing waste, and avoiding fillers or preservatives commonly found in commercial products. Food enthusiasts and small-scale butchers appreciate the hands-on aspect and the ability to customize blends and seasonings exactly to taste. Using a clamp-on meat grinder today is about reclaiming control over ingredients and embracing the craftsmanship of cooking. It's a reminder that good food starts with knowing your source and taking time to prepare it well. No mystery meat here, just honest, homemade flavor with every turn of the crank. Kitchen scales analog. Analog kitchen scales have a timeless charm rooted in simplicity and reliability. Long before digital displays and the electronic sensors, cooks depended on these mechanical marvels to measure ingredients with precision and ease. Built on the principle of balance, these scales require no batteries or power source, just the weight of ingredients and the steady hand of the user. Their enduring design and straightforward function have made them beloved tools across generations, especially in an age when many seek to reconnect with hands-on cooking. Typically crafted from metal with a dial or needle display, analog kitchen scales offer clear, immediate readings without the need for complicated settings or calibration. The weight is measured by placing ingredients on a platform or in a bowl atop the scale, causing a needle to move against a numbered dial. This direct physical feedback creates a tactile experience that many bakers and cooks find more intuitive than digital alternatives. For decades, analog scales were indispensable in kitchens, where recipes demanded exact measurements, particularly in baking. Their durability and ease of use made them a fixture on countertops and in pantries worldwide. Unlike many electronic gadgets that can malfunction or run out of power, analog scales are remarkably resilient. often passed down through families as reliable heirlooms. In 2025, analog kitchen scales are enjoying renewed popularity amid a growing interest in sustainable, low-tech kitchen tools. Home cooks and professionals alike appreciate their eco-friendliness, no need for disposable batteries, and the nostalgic connection to traditional cooking methods. They also fit perfectly in kitchens styled with vintage or farmhouse aesthetics, adding both functionality and charm. Using an analog kitchen scale is about more than measurement. It's about trusting your senses and appreciating the rhythm of cooking. The satisfying click and sweep of the needle remind us that sometimes the simplest tools offer the most dependable results. In a world full of screens and gadgets, analog scales invite us to slow down, balance our ingredients, and savor the process of making food with care and precision. Wooden spoon sets. Wooden spoon sets hold a special place in kitchens around the world, cherished not only for their practicality, but also for their timeless appeal and enduring legacy. Crafted from hardwoods like maple, beech, or cherry, these spoons are the ultimate heirloom utensils, designed to last for decades, often outliving the cooks who use them. Their simple yet sturdy construction makes them indispensable tools for stirring, scraping, tasting, and serving, all while adding a warm, natural touch to the kitchen. Long before plastic and metal utensils became commonplace, wooden spoons were the workhorses of every household. Their gentle surface won't scratch delicate pots and pans, making them perfect for use with cast iron, enamelware, and non-stick cookware alike. Over time, a wooden spoon develops a unique patina from oils and heat, gaining character and a smoothness that feels comfortable in the hand. Many families have stories of wooden spoons passed down through generations, each one a silent witness to countless recipes, celebrations, and everyday meals. Wooden spoon sets often come in a variety of sizes and shapes, from slender stirring spoons to broad, flat paddles. This versatility allows cooks to tackle everything from mixing batter to folding in delicate ingredients with ease. Unlike plastic utensils, wooden spoons don't melt or leach chemicals into food, making them a safe and sustainable choice. In 2025, wooden spoon sets are enjoying a renaissance as more people embrace traditional cooking tools and sustainable materials. Artisans craft spoons with attention to detail and ergonomic designs, while many home cooks seek out heirloom quality pieces that can be cherished and used daily. The tactile pleasure of stirring with wood, the subtle scent of freshly carved grain, and the satisfaction of a well-worn utensil all contribute to their enduring popularity. More than just kitchen tools, wooden spoon sets connect us to a lineage of cooks who valued craftsmanship, care, and simplicity. They remind us that sometimes the most humble utensils hold the greatest stories and stir the deepest memories. Thanks for joining us on this nostalgic journey through 30 vintage kitchen items making a comeback in 2025. If you enjoyed rediscovering these timeless treasures, don't forget to like and share this video with fellow kitchen enthusiasts. Be sure to subscribe for more stories.